Welcome to the Brooklyn Historical Society, where the vibrant history of Brooklyn is made tangible, meaningful, and relevant today. These videos feature inspirational highlights and excerpts from our teaching and learning materials. To find more resources about the history of Brooklyn, visit us online at www.brooklynhistory.org. This is the third video in a three-part series about the history of public health in Brooklyn. This video examines how issues of public health became central to the demands of the civil rights activists in Brooklyn. Residents agitated for better access to healthcare, as well as free breakfast for children, safe and vermin-free housing, more equitable city services like trash pickup, and much more. The fight for civil and human rights in Brooklyn is not new. From the treatment of the Lenni Lenape to the institution of slavery to discrimination based on race, ethnicity, or religion, there is a long history of inequality in our community. There is an equally long and ongoing history of fighting back against mistreatment, community organizing and public protests, and demands for equity. During the 1960s, the fight for civil rights happened throughout the nation and in Brooklyn. One of the fights focused on equal treatment in the name of public health. Civil rights organizations in Brooklyn highlighted the structural ways that communities of color received subpar medical care. Activists revealed that health wasn't just about medicine, but also about the inequities embedded in everyday life. The Brooklyn chapter of the Congress of Racial Equality, also known as CORE, was an integral part of the fight for civil rights in our borough. In 1962 Bedford-Stuyvesant, sanitation services were so lacking for this predominantly black neighborhood that it was literally littered with garbage. Between 1940 and 1960, the population of Bedford-Stuyvesant grew by 400%. The city, however, failed to increase the number of sanitation pickups to meet the neighborhood's growing needs, while other, less crowded, predominantly white neighborhoods received daily garbage pickup. Brooklyn core leaders argued that the excess garbage created unsanitary and dangerous conditions for residents, attracting vermin and causing accidents. They also recognized that the neighborhood's poor conditions reinforced common racist beliefs that place blame on black communities for their inability to maintain their neighborhoods, when the underlying issue was actually discriminatory policy decisions. Brooklyn's core members attempted to negotiate with New York City's Mayor Wagner and Brooklyn Borough President Stark for over a year, asking for equitable sanitation services. The city leaders never followed through on their commitments to ensure better public health practices for Black and Latino communities. CORE decided to employ direct action tactics to highlight how unsanitary living conditions affect a community's health and well-being. Members of Brooklyn Core and Bedford-Stuyvesant residents distributed flyers like this one to encourage community members to participate in a protest. This protest, called Operation Clean Sweep, was designed to amplify the community's message about unsanitary living conditions in their neighborhood by using what was left on the streets: trash. The goal of this protest was to bring the trash issue literally to the feet of the city's leaders. Operation Clean Sweep began on September 15, 1962. CORE members and residents followed Department of Sanitation trucks and collected the trash that was left on the streets of Bed-Stuy. After loading garbage bags of trash onto rented trucks, CORE members drove downtown to Brooklyn's seat of government, Borough Hall, and piled the garbage on the steps. News crews documented the spectacle and publicized it to New Yorkers largely unaware of the dire conditions in Bedford-Stuyvesant. During the garbage protest at Borough Hall, police ticketed some of the activists, including Marjorie Leeds, pictured here in a CORE apron, and Dr. Barbara Wallace, wearing sunglasses. Leeds and her husband, Oliver, were among the leaders of the Brooklyn Core chapter in the 1960s. In addition to participating in Operation Clean Sweep, they also led efforts to address employment discrimination and school segregation. Operation Clean Sweep drew media attention from across the city, but garnered little effective support from local politicians. Abe Stark, the Brooklyn Borough president, supported calls for increased sanitation services, but didn't have the power to actually demand or push through this change. Frank Lucia, the city's sanitation commissioner, stated that Bed-Stuy would not receive 5-day-a-week trash pickup until the city budget was increased and allowed for hiring of more workers. The commissioner claimed that there was no racially motivated negligence on behalf of the city, citing 5-day-a-week pickup in other majority Black and brown communities. Instead, Lucia argued that there was a culture of poverty in Bed-Stuy that accounted for issues with trash and sanitation, and claimed that the community's behavior was to blame. Instead of committing to increased service from the sanitation department, Lucia pushed for more sanitation patrol officers to watch the neighborhood and issue summonses. He also proposed an educational program to discourage littering and encourage the use of trash receptacles. In February of 1963, the City Commission on Human Rights agreed to investigate sanitation issues in Bed-Stuy. A month later, the commission scheduled a meeting between Commissioner Lucia and Bed-Stuy community leaders to discuss ongoing problems and the lack of improvement. In July of 1963, the city building commissioner promised to increase the number of inspectors in Bed-Stuy to crack down on violations and to document which areas needed the most support from the city. It took a few more years before sanitation services in the neighborhood were increased. For more information about sewers, sanitation, and public health in Brooklyn, check out an episode of our podcast, Flatbush in Maine, titled Histories of Waste in Brooklyn, available on our website, www.brooklynhistory.org.